All right, we're back and we're here to talk about Arizona State Sun Devils football. I'm here to update you guys on everything that's going on, including the quarterback situation on this edition of the Locked On Sun Devils podcast.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in, and thank you for making us your first listen of the day. And a special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Wherever you're getting your podcast, hit like and subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. Stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter at RichieBrads36. And the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Guys, I appreciate you guys sticking with me and being patient. I have been on the mend the last few days. We're going to be getting back to regularly scheduled content starting tomorrow. So a little later episode on Wednesday. And then moving forward, we'll be back to our normal schedule. Heads up, this week is going to be a lot of previewing. I have not been able to get out to practice with obviously not feeling good. So we'll be doing some previews this week. We should be able to get back to practice next week and then start getting ready and ramping up for the regular season the week following. We are, just over 2 weeks away from Sun Devil football. We're 15 days away from Sun Devil football, and we're starting to get a clearer idea and a clearer focus on what we're going to be seeing from the Sun Devils this year. This is a team that is in a completely new spectrum compared to what we have previously seen from Sun Devils football. You know, we've got a brand new head coach in Kenny Dillingham who's instilling a philosophy and a mindset and a culture that really we're not used to seeing. Like there's been a lot of commonalities over the years with Sun Devils football. Like we're used to seeing the knucklehead penalties, right? That's something that we've become used to seeing. We've become accustomed to seeing subpar to average football play over the last 10 years. There's all sorts of stuff. The recruiting that hasn't been great, but slowly but surely, Kenny Dillingham is placing his ideas into this program, and we're starting to see and reap the benefits from it because there's a handful of guys that are standing out in practice. There's a handful of guys that look like major building blocks and part of the future of this program. And that's what we're going to be really focusing on today, is looking at the guys that are becoming those building blocks. And before we get that far, I do want to start by taking a look at the quarterback situation because it's obviously the biggest story of Arizona State Sun Devils training camp right now is what's going on at quarterback. Well, if you have been under a rock, let me fill you in. During the scrimmage session up at Camp T over the past weekend, Drew Pyne had suffered a hamstring strain, and that strain is going to be holding him out for a little while. The initial idea was 4 to 6 weeks. We're still very unclear. We still don't have a definitive diagnosis. I know I was holding off a little bit to wait and see if there was going to be something more official. We don't have anything concrete as of right now, but that is pretty much what we're looking at, is a 4 to 6 week recovery period until further notice, which of course means that we should expect him to miss at least the first game of the year, potentially longer than that, but he's definitely going to be out for the remainder of training camp. And in the meantime of that going on, it's important to start taking a look at your other quarterbacking options. And there's really two options that the team is comfortable rolling with: Trenton Bourguet, the returning guy from last year, and Jaden Rashada, the highly recruited, highly anticipated quarterback prospect that is a true freshman. And they're both going to get every opportunity to be the starting quarterback for week one. You know, Trenton Bourguet is somebody who's coming back from last year and was able to get the offense really back on track for a unit that was just consistently struggling to move the ball and get into the end zone. Trenton Bourguet was able to help fix that problem a little bit, and the Sun Devils became a unit that was at least fun to watch. It wasn't that previously, but he was able to help the team really start to figure itself out. And the bottom line is, while you don't owe anything to him, he still deserves that opportunity, and he's getting that opportunity. It's a very good thing to see that he's getting every chance possible to be able to get onto the football field, because I do think that Trenton Bourguet is a quality quarterback, and I believe in him to be able to not only manage the offense, but get the most out of these guys. And it helps that he's got the chemistry too. Like, you look at what he was able to accomplish last year in about half a season. This is where Jalen Conyers had taken over. And I think a large part of it has to do with Trenton Bourguet giving him the opportunities to be that go-to playmaker at the tight end position and one of the top options in the offense, if not the top option in the offense. I think that Trenton Bourguet was one of the biggest reasons for that emergence for Jalen Conyers that now has everybody thinking he could be one of the best tight ends in the country. Hello, I am one of those people. He also was able to help Elijah Badger really start to get the ball rolling towards being the team's established number one receiver. Like, everything had just started to come together when Trenton Bourguet became the starting quarterback for the team. It's just not a coincidence when you look at it. And now he gets to work with those guys again. You know, Giovanni Sanders is back, Elijah Badger, Jalen Conyers. Those guys are returning who have the chemistry established with Trenton Bourguet. You've got other guys that are incoming as well, like Xavier Guillory. You've got Melquan Stovall has looked very good. Cameron Scatabo in the backfield, to Carlos Brooks in the backfield. There's a lot here, a lot of weapons for this offense to use. And I do believe that Kenny Dillingham is more than talented enough to get the most out of those kind of players. And that's one of the reasons why I believe he should get an opportunity here to be potentially quarterback one for you come the start of the season. Like, I feel like a lot of people are going to look at Bourguet and be underwhelmed. And I truly don't get that, because while he's not going to be like first team all Pac-12, he still showed enough last year to prove to you that he's more than capable of being able to have the keys given to him on the offense and get the most out of these guys. That's the biggest thing that I'm going to continue to echo here, is he gets the most out of his players. Like, again, maybe he's not the best quarterback in the conference, but at least he can use and utilize the weapons that he has to be able to have them reach their peak and reach their potential. That's one of the things that is so enticing to me about potentially starting Trenton Bourguet, is knowing that he's going to be able to get the best out of Jalen Conyers, the best out of Elijah Badger, the best out of Giovanni Sanders. Trenton Bourguet feels like that kind of quality quarterback, that kind of player for you to be able to get the most out of those guys. And that's one of the reasons why I think that Bourguet is a much better option than people are going to be giving him credit for. But obviously, on the flip side of the coin, there's another very intriguing quarterback that, you need to have a conversation about with Jaden Rashada, and we will be doing that in just one moment. Guys, if you're tired of a weakening or thinning hairline, if you want to reach your full hair potential, you need to get yourself Nutrafol. It's leading hair growth supplement. It helps improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. I've been using it myself, and I can tell you guys that my hair feels thick, it feels healthy, it feels softer than anything that I have ever used before. I'm a very big fan of it. And Nutrafol is also the number one dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements use physician-formulated, natural, science-backed ingredients. Their drug-free, patented technology provides consistent, reliable results without compromising your sexual health. Go to Nutrafol.com to take their hair health wellness quiz, identify causes of your thinning hair, and Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for a better hair health through whole body wellness. Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting root causes of thinness, such as stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through whole body health. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men, spelled Nutrafol.com/men, and enter the promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Wherever you're getting those podcasts, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. And of course, thank you especially to my everydayers who are here every day. All right. We talked about Trenton Bourguet, and it's only fair that we flip the script and talk about Jaden Rashada, because I know this is the guy everybody wants to start, and it makes sense for a variety of reasons. And we can start with the most logical reason is this is the future of the quarterback position for Arizona State. So why not get started now? Why not roll into week one and give Jaden Rashada every opportunity possible to be the starting quarterback for the team? Give him the chance to get this era of Kenny Dillingham football started. This is what everybody wants to see. They want to see Jaden Rashada on the field sooner rather than later for a variety of reasons. Like, again, the biggest one is that it gets that new era started. This is the face of the Kenny Dillingham era, for better or for worse. Like, this was the prized possession of Kenny's first recruiting class. He was a very highly recruited player. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. He naturally is going to be linked with Kenny Dillingham, and Dillingham is going to be linked with him for however many years until the next guy comes in, whatever that may be. But naturally, we want that sooner rather than later. It also makes sense when you look at the pure talent, athleticism, and everything else that he has. He looks like a superstar in the making. Like, he's got the big arm. He's got the athleticism to move around the pocket, but he also has the ability to be that dual threat that can beat you with his legs too. He's a big kid. He's 6'4/6'3", depending on where you're looking. He's hovering around 200 pounds. I'm honestly not 100% sure, because I think coming out of college, he was about 190, but he just looks the part, and he's got this all-world talent and seemingly limitless upside, and certainly more upside than Arizona State has seen at quarterback since Jaden Daniels as a freshman for the team. If you were able to get Jaden Daniels as a freshman in your first year of Jaden Rashada, you would be ecstatic. I think it's very easy to forget because there's so much contempt that is held towards Jaden Daniels. It's easy to forget that he was one of the best quarterbacks that we've had of the last 10 years. And he had one of the greatest freshman seasons across any position at Arizona State. He was so good. And if you're able to get anything remotely close to that out of Jaden Rashada, you'd be thrilled. And that's one more reason why you might want to see him under center for week one is look at how great that turned out last time we rolled out with a freshman quarterback. Why can't Rashada do the same thing? He was also a kid who was a high 4-star/5-star, depending on where you're looking at for your recruiting rankings and everything. That was Jaden Daniels coming out of Cal. Why can't that be Jaden Rashada? Like, there's that same logic that you could use there. Bottom line, I think when you look at these two quarterbacks, there's an interesting argument either way. At this point in time, I don't have a definitive answer on who I would like to see. So unfortunately, I can't tell you right now. I need to do some more soul searching and need to get down to some more practices and see for myself. I can't tell you one way or the other. I would lean more Bourguet simply because I've seen more of Bourguet in training camp. But now that Rashada is getting a bunch more time as well, this is something that I need to see firsthand for myself. So I don't believe there's any more practices open to the public or the media, at least this week. If there is, then, I'll let you guys know that I'm going to be there. If not, I'll be back there on Monday to get back integrated into everything that's going on with the program, everything that's going on at the quarterback position, and fill you guys in. Bottom line, though, I don't think you're necessarily in a bad situation either way. And I also understand going one way or the other when you're looking at the quarterback position for what you want. Like, it makes sense why you would want to roll with Bourguet because he's safe, he's reliable, he's a very likable, charismatic guy. He's a good leader, even if he's not the rah-rah guy. Like, he's still able to gravitate to these guys, and the guys gravitate to him as well. Makes sense there. Makes sense why you would want Jaden Rashada. He's the flashy young kid with the big arm and the athletic ability to beat you in more ways than one. The upside is probably a lot higher than it would be with Trenton Bourguet. I understand both arguments, and you could talk me in to either side of it. I would truly be 100% open to either way, which is why, again, as of right now, I don't have a definitive answer for you on who I would rather see under center for week one. We still got some time to figure it out, and I don't think that we're going to have an idea for a little while. I know that Chris Cartman had put out on Twitter that he doesn't expect a decision to be made probably until about a week before the first game of the season. I think I would tend to agree. I think that is probably the latest that we would find out who the starting quarterback is so that you can get that guy the most reps possible going into week one against Southern Utah. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Like it is what it is, one way or another. We're going to get our starting quarterback here very soon, though. But let me know what you guys think. I would love to know your guys' logic on this. Thanks for tuning in. Wherever you get the podcast, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Special shout out to my everydayers, and thank you guys for tuning in and making us your first listen every day. All right. We're wrapping up this episode with talking about some sleepers and some standouts. There's a handful of guys that are just off the top of my head that I'm really looking forward to, that I want to bring the attention to you guys as well. First guy, Melquan Stovall. He's a wide receiver. He's the backup slot guy, if you will, but he has really, really stood out. Everywhere that the ball is flying towards number 7 feels like a very catchable football for him. And he's not the biggest guy in the world. Again, he is a more traditional slot receiver, but he feels like a very reliable player as well. And now that Jake Smith is going to have to miss this year, I believe that this opens a very nice role and opportunity for Melquan to come in and be a major impact in the passing game. Like this is a wide receiver room that has so much talent that you're going to rotate a lot of it in. And that's not a bad thing at all. You're going to see so many different guys that are going to get so many different opportunities. And Melquan Stovall is going to be one of those guys that's going to be able to show off why he should be able to get onto the football field and stuff like that. So really looking forward to him. I'm very much a fan of number 7. I implore you guys to be one as well. Sticking on the offensive side of the football, look out for number 14, Kyson Brown. If you listen to this podcast, you know this isn't the first time I brought him up. He is really, really playing good football. He is just running so violent. And with the state of this backfield, it feels like everybody's going to get an opportunity. This isn't a bad backfield at all. Please don't think that that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are so many guys here between Cameron Scatabo, DeCarlos Brooks, Tevin White, Kyson Brown's earning reps there as well. Javen Jacobs, I think, is going to be a work in progress, but I also believe that he's going to get a lot of passing reps for the team. But Kyson is showing that he should be able to get some opportunities as a running back, and those opportunities to maybe get involved earlier on and showcase why he should be someone that by the end of the season, he's the number 2 or number 3 running back on the team. We'll see, man. He looks good. Defensive side of the football, I don't want to talk too much about the guys that I have talked about so many times, even though it would be really easy to talk about CJ Fight. But Gharin Stansbury is another player who's looked really, really good. He's a phenomenal athletic specimen off the edge and somebody that I think could be a very big impact in the pass rushing department this year. I expect that the sacks are going to be significantly better than what you got last year. We were barely averaging a sack a game last year. You had, I think, 3 guys that were tied with 2.5 sacks for the team lead last year. BJ Green and Clayton Smith, I anticipate them to combine for double-digit sacks by themselves, but I'm also looking forward to some of the other guys like Prince Dorval and Ashley Williams. But Gharin Stansbury is someone that has really caught my attention, number 49. And I think by the time that we start to get into the heat of the season, we're going to see a lot of snaps for 49. I think he ends up being one of your primary rotational guys with Clayton Smith and BJ Green. I think that Stansbury is going to be one of the guys they go to a lot. Like, look out for number 49 this year because I think he's going to be a big time impact player. Linebacker, Krew Jackson. I've talked about him a handful of times. I'm going to continue to talk about him. He looks good. And he looks like the athlete that he was advertised to be, transferring from K-State, and that safety linebacker hybrid he was talked about as being. He looks like it. This is an instinctive player who flies the football. Very, very impressed with him. Linebacker is going to be a position that I anticipate perhaps the most rotation on this year. There are quality guys. I do like James Ajonkam. I do like Will Schaefer. I do like Caleb McCullough has looked good. I want to continue to see Krew Jackson get reps and opportunities, especially because he is the future of the position until further notice. Like, Trey Brown is there. I'm a big Trey Brown guy. He's a one-year player because he's a graduate. Will Schaefer is a redshirt junior, so he has another season. Caleb McCullough and James Joncom could also have another season, but Krew Jackson's a redshirt freshman. You could have him for 4 years. This is the future of the position, as well as Tate Romney, who's also getting some opportunities. So I'm looking forward to those guys. And then in the secondary, unfortunately, Montana Warren is injured. I think he's out 6 to 8 weeks. It might even be longer than that with a shoulder injury. Hopefully he gets back on the football field quick. But I do want to talk about some of the other corners that are out there, like Mason Williams and Ed Woods both look really good. Roman Rashada. Roman Rashada has looked good. I want to talk about Demetrius Dee Ford. Dee Ford is, he looks good. And they're flexing him all throughout the secondary, whether it's on the boundary or inside at the nickel. Like, he's getting opportunities throughout the secondary, and he's making the most of those opportunities. When you are looking at the defensive side of the football, you find number 4 pretty quick. And I think that Jordan Clark is just such a great overall defensive back that you're not going to pigeonhole him as the nickel. I think you're going to move Jordan Clark around, which is going to give Dee Ford an opportunity to maybe be a primary nickel, or maybe the same thing as Jordan Clark, and they kind of flex him as like a third safety, or I don't know. All I know is I look at Dee Ford, and even though Jordan Clark is on paper the starting nickel, you just got to get him out there. He has been a big-time impact player for the team. I feel like it would be irresponsible to not be getting Dee Ford out onto the football field as much as possible. He's definitely one of the guys who has caught my attention quite a bit. All in all, there's a lot of guys that have me really hyped about this team. And I'm telling you guys, when we wind down training camp and we go through my win and loss projections, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with the way that I'm going to be going about this team. But that's going to wrap up this episode. Again, thank you guys for being patient as I've been on the mend. Today's episode a little later in the afternoon. We're getting back onto a regular schedule moving forward. The rest of this week is going to be kind of catch-up material. Starting again next week, we'll be getting back into the training camp coverage. And if there is training camp tomorrow, I don't think there is, then we'll be getting back to it a little sooner rather than later. But until then, we'll just be getting you guys filled in on everything that's going on. We'll be doing some breakdowns. We'll be doing some early looks and all that good stuff. But make sure that you hit like and subscribe and turn on those notifications, guys, because you won't want to miss the content that we've coming out every single day for you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.